Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about shadow work, what it is and why you should be doing it. I'm Emily Goldthwait. I'm an author and energy healer, and I help people have powerful self-awareness, deep self-compassion, and expanded understanding. To understand the term shadow work, first you have to understand what a shadow self is. So I was first introduced to the term shadow self by Jordan Peterson. He's a really famous teacher of psychology, and he's all over the internet. I love his stuff. And I had been doing shadow work for many years, both as a participant as well as a facilitator. I just didn't know that's what it was called. So your shadow self is the parts of you that you either deny are there or blind yourself to the fact that you're there because they're parts you don't necessarily like or accept. So when we have negative events, usually as a child, there are parts of ourselves that we start hiding and that we start blocking from our awareness, because if we had those things, there would be a negative outcome for us. So we kind of push those things down and they don't go away. They don't get erased. What they do is they get shoved into our subconscious and they become like a wounded conversation that we then have triggers and dysfunctions around, but we don't necessarily understand where those dysfunctions and triggers are coming from because they're from our shadow self. They're from this part of ourselves that live in a shadow because we have not been able to process that they are there. So shadow work refers to the term of discovering what those parts are and then moving forward with healing them. While there are many tremendous benefits to doing your shadow work, there's some specific ones I wanted to talk about today. There's the obvious ones that are, for your own healing, health, and wellness, but there's some larger ones that affect more than just you that I had some interesting experiences with this last week. So last week, I got to go on a girls' trip to Sedona, and this is my second time going in the period of a month. Last time I went with my children, and both times I had very amazing experiences with the locals there. On my first trip, the man that was running the hotel I was staying at, he ran my card and my card wasn't working because that particular card has a hard time with a lot of different systems of reading it. And so I've been running into that with this card. And so I was like, oh, I might have to use a different one. And I handed it to him. He's like, hold on, let's just be a yes that this card works this time. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Look, I know that. Yeah, okay, let's be a yes. And so I'm like, yeah, this is going to work. And he ran it and it worked just fine. And I was like, that's really cool. So I told my kids about it. And then one of my children is really into crystals. And this child earns and saves up tons of money for crystals. And they save them all year long so that they can go to different rock and gem shows and buy crystals. And so this child lost their wallet with their money they'd been saving up for a whole year. And so they only had a little bit with them to spend. And so we went into a crystal shop and this child was telling the owner of the shop about this missing wallet. And the shop owner said to them, you know what, don't think of it as lost. Think of it as just placed somewhere else, and think of it where you want to find it, where you want to see it placed. And it will come back to you. It will appear there for you. And I thought this was really amazing that both the shop owner and the hotel owner had such positive mindsets, even with total strangers. They just instinctively had really healthy ways to look at things to generate positive outcomes that were the outcomes that we were a yes for. So on this second trip, I went to a little less touristy part of town and I got to stay at a bed and breakfast. And at the bed and breakfast, I was talking with the host there, and there had been a place that sold rocks and gems that I had seen on YouTube, but they hadn't given the location or anything like that. I just knew it was near Sedona, and I had been bummed because I wanted to go see it, but I couldn't go see it. And this bed and breakfast owner happened to mention, when we complimented the crystals in his house, he was like, oh, well, there's this guy outside of town and his family's been collecting rocks for years and years and now they're selling them. And he's describing this guy's place. And I was like, that's what I saw on YouTube a month ago and I wanted to go there, but I had no idea where it was or how to get there. And he goes, oh, look at that. The universe brought it to you. Well, here's a map to his place and give him a call and you can go. And so I was able to give him a call and go there, and it was really neat. So I thought that was really incredible that his instinctive way to think was like, look at, you asked for it, you were a yes for it, and the universe manifested it for you. Then I went to a local juicery shop, and the entire staff there had this amazing positive vibe. And it was so positive, and also it was like super healthy and really delicious. But the vibe there was so positive that me and my friend on this trip, we were like, we got to come back to this shop tomorrow. And both times we went, the staff there engaging with us were very, very personable. Not just like friendly, like, hey, how are you? Like customer service, like genuinely and authentically asking us, like, how was your trip? What are you doing? What neat experiences have you had? And taking a moment to engage with each of their customers and clients on a very personal and authentic level that I found just profound and very unusual in that industry. To stop and pull out of their busyness to talk with the customers in an authentic way like that. So I like to people watch. And so as I sat there, eating my treat both days, I just observed some different conversations that were going on. And the first day I went, there was one of the staff brought out the treat to one of the customers. And apparently it was somebody that they knew and they hadn't seen them in a while. And this staff member, he started telling his customer all about this business plan that he had and that he was just glowing with excitement and telling all these things and how he just needed a few more pieces of equipment to be able to do it. And that he said, I want to be able to provide a valuable service to my community while still adding value to myself. And the client that he was talking to, and he said, your intentions seem pure and your heart's in the right place and you have great energy. So I think you're going to do really well. And then he proceeded to give him some very good advice from a business standpoint of how to set this up and how to run it. And the kid that was telling him, the teenage, probably college, was like really, really excited and just had this amazing vibe about him. And I thought that was so incredible that the person he was talking to, his very first reaction was, your intentions are good and your heart's in the right place and you have great energy. And that those were the things that were valuable and that he noticed. And also the intention of the worker that was setting up this business, that he had the mindset of abundance, of wanting to provide value and receive value back. And I just thought that was so incredible, his enthusiasm for doing this job that he wanted to do. Then I was sitting there the next day and a different worker came out to bring something to one of the clients, and it didn't seem like they knew them very well. And one of their friends I hadn't met at all. And so as they were sitting there and listening to this conversation, I hear the young man tell this client, hey, yeah, last night me and my friends got off work and hung out. And I'm picturing, like what me and my friends would have done hanging out after work in college. And he said, yeah, we learned how to do deep breathing exercises to help with our shadow work and really integrate that. And he started talking all about shadow work and energy work. And I'm just like, that is nothing like what me and my college friends would have been doing in college after work. My term of hanging out is very different than that. And as I listened to him talk all about the profound experiences that he's had as he started doing shadow work and the progress that he made, and he referenced, how he had been in the past versus how he is now, and how important doing that has been to him, and how much of a difference it's made in his life, and how much happier and brighter and more positive he feels in life. And these are just like the everyday discussions that these locals are having with their clients and with each other and with their friends, and apparently doing when they get off of work. And I was like, this is amazing. And I took a few days pondering about what it was about it that was so profound to me. And what I came to see was that this was an entire community of people whose focus was around self-healing and becoming the best versions of themselves. And as they did that on their individual levels, they collectively raised the consciousness and the mindset of their entire community to where the entire city has this wonderful vibe and positivity. And I thought about, what does that mean for me? What does that mean in my life? And what does that mean in general? What's my takeaway and what can I share with you guys? And I realized that as we focus on healing our individual selves and becoming the best version of ourselves by facing our shadows and facing those things that we have always been afraid to know about ourselves, or maybe that we've flat out rejected about ourselves, when we face those and we heal those, we not only raise our consciousness and vibration, but that of our community as well. And the more communities that can lift and raise their vibration individual by individual will eventually raise the collective consciousness of society. And that has been one of my hopes and intents in starting this YouTube channel, is to share with all of you the things that I have learned and the tools that I have used in my journey of facing my own shadow self, so that as you dive into that shadow, you have a better idea of what you're doing and how to go about it, and understanding yourself in a compassionate, self-loving way. So my message for you today is to not fear your shadow self and to do your work. Dive into that shadow and heal what's there. And that as you do, your life will open up and become so much brighter and lighter and happier. And not just your life, but the life of the community around you will also lift. I sure hope you found that helpful. If you did, hit that like button for me and subscribe to my channel, because every week I'm going to be putting out content like this to help people like you have light, love, and joy in your journey. Take care.